Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justice, and my last video, it was a little bit longer than I planned for. I got a whole bunch of hot takes from Reddit, and I reacted to them, and I had over an hour of footage on the cutting room floor by the time everything was said and done with. So today I'm just going to be breaking into the next section of that, and let's react to some hot takes people have about some of the movies that we love or hate. So let's go. The 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I respect it for what it did for the genre and how influential it has been. But good God, I can't fucking stand the last of it. Sadly, screaming makes me want to rip my own fucking ears off. I'm gonna have to strongly disagree with you because I love that original Texas Chainsaw movie. In fact, like, the last, 20 minutes of it, I think are done so well because so many horror movies, chase scenes are done very poorly and feel like they're meandering and trying to fill a runtime. This one genuinely feels unnerving and horrifying, and I really love what they do with the whole sequence. Tobe Hooper was very masterful with the way that he edited and wrote that scene, and also for the Marilyn Burns, I really hope I'm not making up the name for Sally's actress, but the way she acted that scene, that woman acted her fucking ass off and did such a good job the whole sequence and kept it super entertaining for me, at least. So I can see why someone screaming for the latter half of your movie is going to be annoying to people, but for me, man, that whole ending is so damn iconic. The entire chase sequence is just so good, and I really don't mind all the screaming because it is a genuinely unnerving movie, and I think that it is aged extremely well, especially seeing as it's an almost 50-year-old movie at this point. The Conjuring movies are hot garbage. You're not wrong, man. You really aren't. Let's just have a drink to that. We'll just clink the camera for you there. I overall enjoy the Conjuring franchise. There's a couple of sequels in there that I like. I think the first two are really good. Annabelle Creation is admittedly a lot of fun. I didn't even mind The Nun 2. Annabelle Comes Home is this really fun haunted house kind of movie, but anything else I didn't mention, I just feel it's either forgettable or a really, really bad movie. Half of this franchise is not good, and I haven't seen Last Rites yet. I'm obviously going to because I love to punish myself, and I'm a damn completionist when it comes to these franchises. They come out with sequels, I'm gonna watch them, as simple as that. But that doesn't mean I think it's gonna be that great. I have my hopes for it because Ed and Lorraine are there, but most of these movies, especially since those first two and even the other ones that I did mention that I like, aren't that good. The first two I think are the best, the second one arguably better than the first, but I feel a lot of them are just kind of this downward spiral of how much money we can milk out of this franchise to see what we can get from it. And I think it's very glaringly obvious, especially with the Annabelle films, especially that first Annabelle film. It's not that great of a movie, and I will admit that Annabelle Creation retroactively made it a better movie with some of the retcons that it did, but that still doesn't make it a good movie because you shouldn't have to do your homework before watching a movie, let alone watch a sequel to said movie to be able to understand why it wasn't as bad as you thought it was. I just think that's really shitty writing, and I think that's kind of an F you a little bit to your fans of your franchise. Just make a good movie instead of going for a straight cash grab. And unfortunately, that's a lot of what the Conjuring franchise decides to bump into. So I understand what you're saying about it 100%, but I do enjoy a couple of the movies in it overall. The Terrifier movies are torture porn trash and are ridiculously overrated. I mean, I don't think you're wrong about the torture porn at all. That's literally what they're made for. But, I don't know, I kind of love them, but I get it. I drugged my boyfriend to go see Terrifier 2, and he fucking hated that movie. Every second of it in the movie theater, he was not impressed. He thought it was so stupid, and anytime Art the Clown comes up in conversation, he immediately is rolling his eyes and just fucking over it. So yeah, no, I get it. To each their own, but I'm on the side that likes Terrifier, man. Chucky is not only by far the most underrated horror franchise, I'd even make an argument that it's the best of the 80s slasher franchises. It's the most bold and experimental franchise and isn't afraid to reinvent itself, giving it great variety. Entries have ranged from over-the-top camp comedy to pure gothic horror. It has a phenomenal cast and crew, including multiple Oscar-nominated actors who have stuck with it for decades now. Chucky has way more personality than most other killers, and actually has character growth and arcs despite being the lead villain. It's tackled social issues and themes years and decades before woke was even a thing, and has continued to be an accessible and friendly franchise towards marginalized groups like the queer community. The puppetry and effects in every single entry are fucking incredible to watch. Every single point this person just made, I 110% agree with. I love the Chucky franchise, and a huge part of that might be because as a queer man, obviously, the voice gives it away every time, man. But as a queer man, I really do enjoy the Chucky movies. I love seeing representation in the horror space, and especially with the Chucky TV series. I so wish that existed when I was a teenager in high school, because I would have loved the socks off of it so much, and probably had way more of an attachment to Jake and Devin as a couple than I do as an adult, because as an adult, it is a little bit cheesy teenage drama-ish type romance. But as a teenager, I feel like I would have completely fucked with it, and that's a huge part of why I love the Chucky movies, is they're constantly trying to change up the formula. They're not trying to do the same thing twice. Like, you watch one Chucky movie and then you go to the next one and it's like a completely different setting and a different vibe. Like, I just love the franchise and hold it in such a near and dear place to me, and I do agree that it needs to be ranked with all the praise that it truly deserves. And it does make me super happy to see that when you walk into places like Spirit Halloween now, you're seeing Chucky all over the place, including his offspring Glenn, because that was not the experience too long ago. A lot of people hated that little fucker. I don't know, I've always had a little bit of a soft spot for Glenn and Glenda, so yeah, and the TV series helped with that. But no, there is just so much good storytelling in Chucky, and it is one of the longest going slasher franchises that hasn't had like a true reboot to its story, ignoring the remake. But aside from that, I don't know, Chucky never dies, and he's going to come back for more, and I will always be there for that, because he's one of the best horror villains. He deserves to be on the horror Mount Rushmore. What more can I say? Old horror movies are generally inferior to modern horror movies because so much of horror depends on production values and effects, and old horror movies tend to look cheap or gimmicky. I don't really agree with that one too much, because yes, there is a lot of horror movies that haven't aged the best, but there are some that are still genuinely uncomfortable to watch. Again, what comes to mind is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that whole movie is just baked with grossness throughout, and even other films like Silence of the Lambs have a tendency to be unnerving. There are plenty of times though where special effects have aged to where it's not scary anymore, but it is fascinating to watch to see how they were able to accomplish such horrifying scenes in these movies back in the day. Especially before having CGI in the picture and seeing all the crazy things they would do. Just for example, in the original Nightmare on Elm Street, when Tina's getting drug up onto the ceiling, such an iconic scene, and they didn't use CGI for that. No, they built an entire room that spun around, and they just had the actress crawling around in this spinning room, and you would never guess by watching the scene. I think they were very inventive back then in making things truly unsettling and unnerving. Even The Fly, look me in the face and tell me the effects in The Fly aren't just absolutely disgusting from that 80s remake. I'm waiting, I'm here, I'm listening. But for real though, like, I don't know, like, a lot of them, like, yeah, they might have gotten a little hokey and cheesy over the years, but there's still plenty of them that I think have aged extremely well and are just as terrifying now as they were when they first came out. It's okay to enjoy fun horror movies where the plot is thin, the acting is barely there, and the scares are cheap. Not everything has to be Criterion level. You're not wrong, man. That's literally why I like that new Strangers movie. Like, that's all I gotta say about that. Like, sometimes a bad movie's just a fucking vibe, and it's nothing more, nothing less than that. Like, I rest my case. Like, I fully agree with this statement. In between takes, I, collected a dog, so he's gonna be hanging out with me now for the rest of the video, I'm guessing. Religious-themed horror movies are not scary and often are unintentionally funny. This includes The Exorcist. As someone that's not religious, I see where you're coming from, but there are plenty of religious horror movies that have, like, notably freaked me out a little bit over the years. Like I said, the original Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 both are extremely religious movies. I mean, both Ed and Lorraine are God-fearing people at the end of the day. But then there are movies like The Exorcist, which, yes, is a classic, and if you saw my last hot take video, you know, I think they're really goddamn boring and dull, honestly. But I think it depends on the movie, and I also think it heavily relies on the fact of if you're religious or not. I personally enjoy religious-themed horror movies. Like, I love the original Omen trilogy. I think it's so good, and I love all the little inclusions of the religious text that they throw in there to influence the story in it. I think it's really interesting world building, and this might come across as offensive. That's not my intention whatsoever, but because I'm not religious, I do view seeing religion as more like watching Greek mythology. I enjoy the stories, but overall, do I believe in it? No. But, so, I disagree with you. I don't think religious horror movies are inherently bad. In fact, I think some of the best creators of horror have been people that are from either religious backgrounds or devoutly religious to this day. I respect the original Night of the Living Dead, but it's not a movie I've been able to like. It starts out really well, then loses me after a certain point. I prefer the 1990 remake. I fully get what you mean by respecting a movie over liking it. I feel very similar feelings about the original 1978 Halloween, honestly, but I do enjoy Night of the Living Dead. I think it's a really iconic movie, but the remake I do think is better because in the original, you have Barbara, who becomes essentially catatonic and helpless halfway through the movie, versus in the remake, she's this badass who's kicking ass and calling for fucking names and super capable and takes care of her own. Whereas in the original, she was not that. She was a super lackluster character. So I kind of agree with you, I guess, in a roundabout way of saying that I also prefer the 1990 remake, but I do still enjoy the original one nonetheless. Horror stopped being good sometime around 2005. Not one film made since then is better than the mid-range films made before. No, no, man. Like, that is not accurate whatsoever. In fact, I would say that we are in like a golden age of horror right now, and I love the era that we're in, because even if you don't like the era that we're in now, you still have, like you said, all the movies that came out before 2005, but there are so many good original films, there are so many good continuations to franchises coming out right now, and I feel like horror is better than it's ever been, at least, and I am so glad to be living through this time and being able to see all these movies as they're coming out, because I do think that there are so many films that are coming out actively right now that are going to retroactively become huge classics of the genre, huge cult classics, and I can't wait to see them truly blow up. I mean, you have the X trilogy, which is just so damn good. I love Mia Goth, I love Pearl and Maxine, I think they're phenomenal characters. You have Companion, that movie is phenomenal as well. And then even looking at the 2010s, you have like the Paranormal Activity movies, you have the Conjuring movies, you have the Purge movies. There were just so many franchises I could name. There's standalone films I could name even. Like, you have Last Night in Soho, you have Cabin in the Woods. Like, I could just go on. The list goes on and on. There are so many iconic movies that are being created right now, and I very humbly disagree with you. I think that the entire horror landscape right now is looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself. Now we're gonna jump over to my other horror obsession, and we're gonna talk about American Horror Story for these last couple. American Horror Story Roanoke is not that bad. People who say that it was the start to the end of the show are being overdramatic. It's a good season with good ideas based on a horror trope like the other seasons. I think people just don't like the format. I very highly agree with that. Roanoke is perhaps one of my all-time favorite seasons of the show. I did a ranking a little while back on the series, and I can't remember where that placed, but it was pretty damn high. In fact, I'm pretty sure it might have been in the top 5 or 6 of the 12 season series so far. So, I mean, obviously I like it a decent amount, but I think Roanoke is genuinely uncomfortable and unnerving. I really love the mockumentary format. In fact, in horror, oftentimes, mockumentaries are what still frighten me to this day. So obviously I'm going to have a little bit of a softer spot for Roanoke at the end of the day, because that's what the whole thing is a mockumentary format. And if you're not here for that, then you're not going to like Roanoke. But if you're into that kind of storytelling, then I think that you would love it, and I think that's a huge part of the reason why I like it so much. But I don't think it was the beginning of the end of the series by any means. I still think there's been a couple good seasons after the Roanoke point. The latest seasons I cannot say the same about. But as for that being the true awful thing that showed the show's turning point, I don't think that's what it was at all. AHS NYC is top tier, Hotel is the best season, and Coven was alright, but I really don't like the ideas of having the witches return. I vastly prefer keeping the series an anthology, and the witches coming back ruined Apocalypse for me. So we're gonna break this down because there's parts of this that I very much agree with, and there's parts that I very much don't. For starters, I fucking hate NYC with a passion. I think it is so boring, and I think the writing in it is very poorly done. Just because you're trying to show a metaphor for AIDS doesn't mean that you did it well, and I really hate that in gay cinema that we are, and I know I'm not speaking for all gay people when I say this, but for me personally, I hate that so often we are met with these queer misery stories. It is just so obnoxious to me, and I'm just over it. Like, why can't we show stories that aren't automatically going to AIDS or coming out and all that? Like, it is just exhausting to me, and I want to see something different in the landscape. So yeah, no, I'm not a fan of NYC, period. In fact, I even tried rewatching it to see if I was being too hard on the season a while back, and I don't think I was. It's just really dull and lackluster for me, and it really just pisses me off more than anything else whenever I watch it. As for Hotel, that season's style over substance for me as well. I cannot stand Hotel either. I think it's really pretty to look at, but again, the story just falls flat, and I feel like there's way too much going on in the entire season. Yes, there's moments that shine it. I think Dennis O'Hare does a fantastic job in that season. I enjoy Lady Gaga even in the season, but other than that, it just feels kind of like a slog to get through for me every single time that I watch it. As for Coven, I've always been kind of to Coven. I like it, but and I feel the same way. I'm really iffy about the witches returning. I do think that's a huge part of the reason that Apocalypse was such a goddamn flop for me. It felt like they had the actors playing all these different versions of themselves like way too frequently through it, just for the fact that you have Sarah Paulson playing like 3 different characters, and then you have as well Evan Peters playing like 3 or 4 different characters. It's really hard to follow, and it's really hard to suspend your disbelief in the story and just pulled me out of it. It's not my least favorite season of the series by any means, but it could have been way better than what it was, especially for what could have been like the lack of a better term Avengers Endgame of the entire series, and like a culmination of all these standalone stories finally like truly coming together. Instead it just felt super forced and like rushed together, and honestly, like, you can't tell me that the season wasn't just Coven Season 2, honestly, because that's what it became after the first 3 episodes. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up this video, and I think he's throwing a little bit of a fit here now, you guys. But that's gonna wrap up this video, and if you guys enjoyed it, you should subscribe to the channel. I love doing videos like this, and if you have more hot takes you want to list, leave them down in the comments below. No gatekeeping here. I mean, there might be a little bit of like bafflement for some of the opinions you have, but I'm sure there was some baffled thoughts as you heard some of mine that I dropped throughout these last 2 videos. And in the future, I might even do another one of these, or let's just rephrase that. I'm definitely gonna do another one of these because it is a lot of fun to react to everybody's unpopular opinions on these movies. But with that all out of the way, this has been Justice, and I really hope to see you guys on the next one. Take care.